Have you ever thought, I'm not addicted, I just do it sometimes? That's what I told myself for years. But then I started noticing things. I was constantly tired, unmotivated, mentally foggy. And the worst part, I'd open my phone without even realizing what I was about to do. It was like muscle memory. Watch, relieve, regret. Every single time. I didn't feel like I chose to do it. It felt like something was choosing me. And that was the moment I realized maybe I was addicted and didn't even know it. Hey, I'm glad you're here because this video is the start of a real conversation. Not just about porn or masturbation or dopamine, but about something deeper. Control, loneliness, identity. This is episode 1 of a full series where I'll walk you through my own journey of quitting porn and masturbation using psychology, storytelling, and a lot of trial and error. In this episode, I'm sharing how I realized I had a problem. No dramatic rock bottom, just small signs I ignored until I couldn't anymore. We'll also break down the psychology behind why so many of us get stuck in this pattern without even realizing it. If you've ever felt like something's off, but you can't put your finger on it, you're not broken, you're human. Let's talk about it. I was 15 when I first watched porn. It wasn't even intentional. I was searching something random and clicked a link out of curiosity. It was shocking, but fascinating. No one talked to me about it, so I figured if it's so wrong, why does it feel so good? Soon, it became a secret habit. After school, before bed, whenever I felt anxious. It felt like my personal escape. No judgment, no pressure, just a few minutes of relief. But relief slowly became routine, and routine became a need. In college, it got worse. Stress, porn. Loneliness, porn. Failure, porn. It became my emotional crutch. At one point, I realized I hadn't gone more than 2 days without masturbating in over 3 years. But I told myself it was healthy, natural, normal. The truth is, I was using it to numb myself. From stress, from boredom, from pain. It was never about pleasure. It was about escape. And here's where it got scary. I started losing interest in actual people. Real intimacy felt awkward. Real emotions, overwhelming. I started skipping gym sessions, canceling plans, showing up late to work, all because I'd spend 30 to 40 minutes watching porn and recovering afterward. But it didn't feel like a big deal until I tried to stop. And that's when the trap revealed itself. Let's talk about the science behind this. What I was experiencing wasn't just bad habits. It was behavioral addiction. And porn addiction works a lot like gambling or social media addiction. Every time you watch porn, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical that drives motivation and reward. But with constant exposure, your brain begins to build tolerance. Just like with drugs, what gave you a high before no longer does. So you search for something more, something different, something extreme. This is called dopamine desensitization. Over time, the brain becomes less sensitive to natural rewards, like talking to a friend, going for a walk, or even falling in love. Why? Because your brain has been trained to expect instant, intense, guaranteed pleasure from a screen. And here's something wild. Studies using fMRI scans have shown that frequent porn users have changes in the brain's reward circuitry, especially in the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for impulse control and long-term thinking. This means you're not just struggling because you're weak, your brain has literally been rewired to prioritize this behavior. I remember reading about the addiction cycle: trigger, boredom, stress, loneliness; urge, a mental or physical craving; action, watching, masturbating; regret, guilt, shame; repeat, to numb the regret. Sound familiar? This cycle traps you because each time you give in, it reinforces the connection. The habit loop gets tighter, and soon, willpower alone isn't enough because the brain starts seeking dopamine the moment it senses discomfort. And that's why so many people fail to quit, even when they're deeply motivated. Let me paint a picture you might relate to. You're working on something important, maybe a deadline, but your focus drifts. You open your browser, just for a second. Then an hour later, you've watched content you didn't even plan to, and now you're filled with shame. Your body feels drained. Your energy's gone. You tell yourself, that was the last time. But deep down, you're not even sure anymore. I used to tell myself I could stop whenever I wanted. But whenever I actually tried, I failed. Not because I lacked discipline. I was disciplined in other areas of my life. It was because I didn't understand what I was actually fighting. I wasn't fighting lust. I was fighting dopamine dependency, emotional suppression, and isolation. You see, most people think porn is just about sex. But often it's about something deeper. Avoiding feelings, escaping reality, filling a void. Once I realized that, everything changed. Let me ask you something real. When did you first realize this might be more than just a habit? Was it a moment of regret, a lost opportunity, or just that nagging voice in your head saying, "This isn't who I want to be"? Whatever your moment was, I'd love to hear it in the comments. You're not alone in this, and by sharing, you might give someone else the courage to open up too. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. This is just the beginning of our journey together.